pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Will I have the clerk please call the roll?
Supervisor Fountain?
Here.
Treasurer Horning?
Here.
Clerk Chofu? Here. Trustee Collier?
Here.
Trustee Germain?
Here.
Trustee Harper?
Here.
Trustee Petrucci? Here.
Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of our meeting agenda.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Trustee Harper. Any discussion on the meeting agenda? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Call to the public. Anybody call to the public this evening? If you'd like to come right up to the podium, please.
Dale Jasinski, 1895 Mistwood Drive. I'd like to begin by thanking Mr. James Wickman for his thoughtful, well-written, and extremely prompt reply to my concerns regarding the policies for public road special assessments. My first concern involved petitions. Mr. Wickman responded, "It seems that paragraph 2 of section 7.06 could more clearly describe our established practice of drafting the petition. We will certainly take a closer look at that." I agree completely with his response. It would be good for everyone to know that the township drafts the petition. That makes sense. Everyone wants a good petition to be circulated. My second concern was I thought that significant dollars were being spent before the project was approved by the board. I thought the PACER evaluation and core samples cost thousands of dollars, and I was concerned that if the proposed assessment failed, there would be no way to recover these costs from just the residents of San Marino. Mr. Wickman replied, the nominal time, so basically he said this, it was a nominal cost, and it was necessary so that people could get the best possible cost estimate beforehand. And these questions should be answered before anyone is asked to sign a petition. I agree with his answer. People should have the best estimate of cost before signing a petition. My third concern was it appeared that the method of assessing costs had already been decided. When I wrote my letter, 4 documents had already been distributed by Bob West, stating that the costs will be equally shared among all 347 parcels. Mr. Wickman replied, "Thank you for noting the methodology options for apportion assessments." Mr. West accurately described the one method used for every prior SAD. We missed an opportunity to be even clearer about other possibilities noted in the policy. He will be sure to clarify that in the public meeting. I thought that was a good response. However, my problem is the township just missed another opportunity to be clearer. On April 15th, 3 days after Mr. Wickman responded, Bob West again sent out a communications indicating that only one method was going to be used. Now, if the board only uses just the one method and they don't mind it appearing, the method has already been determined, that's all right. My only concern is that if a person signs a petition believing per parcel is going to be the method, and then the board could later decide to use the foot frontage method, that person would be really upset. So I would like to see per parcel cost estimates and per foot frontage estimates included in all future initial cost estimates from the township. And I think it'd be really great if this could be done for San Marino in a few days so that they know that it's not locked in stone, or if it is locked in stone, that's cool. And the reason I think this is so important is there's significant opposition to the currently proposed special assessment. 48 of the 52 parcels in San Marino Woods have already signed notices of objection. This is 94.2% of the road frontage in the woods. 25% of the entire district have also signed notices of objection. So that's all I wanted to say tonight, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 6, which is approval of our consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by trustee Kalani, second by trustee Petrucci. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 7A of new and pending business, Bullard Lake Woods Road Project Agreement. Mr. West, good evening.
Good evening. As a follow-up to the Bullard Lake Woods subdivision approaching the township to have their neighborhood streets improved, we have gone through the process in the 4 resolutions through our special assessment process. And this year, the Livingston County Road Commission has developed their actual contract to proceed forward with the construction this summer. The construction is set to take place between July and August, and once this contract is signed and received by the County Road Commission, they will put it on their schedule for their contractor, and I'll have a more definitive date as to when in that 2-month period the project will begin. The cost is as projected back in the assessment roll, and what you have before you is just a standard contract from the Road Commission. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding this contract.
I move to approve the Bullard Lake Woods project agreement with the Livingston County Road Commission for $165,808 with the related transfer and budget amendment.
Support.
Motion by Treasurer Horning, support by trustee Germain. Any discussion or questions? My only question, well, is this the last time this will be in front of us, or do we still have to finalize one other element yet?
The only way that you would have it before you again would be to revise the roll. If for some reason the costs are much different, either higher or less or lower. However, this should be the final. Historically, if all the numbers are accurate, you won't see this again.
Any other questions?
Is this, in light of the gentleman that spoke at Call of the Public, is the amount per parcel consistent with what you would see?
Yes, I mean, there's nothing out of the norm with either project, quite frankly.
Okay.
Being no other questions, or all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And number 7B is a resolution for continuing disclosure. I'll turn this over to Manager Wickman.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We do this every year, but certainly when we sell or refund bonds, as we did this year. This is our commitment to the bond market that we will disclose important information, and this resolution satisfies those folks that we are committing to do that. So I offer the resolution for the board's consideration.
I'll move to, well, maybe I can do this one, can I? I can, right? Just full disclosure, my firm is the one that produced the document and is bond counsel for the township, the firm I work for, Clark Hill. The bond counsel actually merged with our firm, so they were bond counsel before they came. They were the township's bond counsel before they were with Clark Hill. So it just happens to be that I work for the same firm as bond counsel. I will also advise that I also work with bond counsel on many projects, but I don't work on necessarily this project for any kind of compensation. So anyway, I think that's important to let the people know that. So I'll move to approve the continuing resolution with respect to the continuing disclosure. Support.
Motion by trustee Kalani, second by trustee Harper. Is there any discussion? Being none, I'll have the clerk please call the roll.
Trustee Harper?
Yes.
Trustee Germain?
Yes.
Trustee Petrucci?
Yes.
Supervisor Fountain?
Yes.
Clerk Schofield, yes. Trustee Collier?
Yes.
Treasurer Horning?
Yes.
Thank you. And Manager Wickman, you mentioned that there was a recent bond. Could you explain briefly what that was for?
Yes, we refunded the bonds for the M59 Hartland Road project from a few years ago, and it went very well. We had originally projected an interest savings of 400, over 400,000. And we had a lot of bidders on it and ended up with interest savings of well over 500,000, so quite a bit in excess of our expectations. And that's all to the benefit of our business community. There are no residents on that SAD, and certainly is one of those things we didn't have to. But we saw the market would benefit, and we knew it was the right thing to do. So we're happy to report. And we have good bond rating, good financials, and the market responded. And so definitely kudos to our finance team and Susan and the professionals that we work with there. We even had to do the long application this year with Treasury in order to do that, and they helped out quite a bit with that, so.
James, I'd like to give a shout out to that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to, for the people at home, and I know I was confused when I first saw this, but when you said refund, would you explain what that means? It's not like we're just paying the money back. There's the.
Yeah, that's in bond terminology. It's a fancy term for refinancing. We paid off the one bond, sold new bonds to the market at a better rate, and so there was a savings by doing that.
Great.
Yes, and as I said, I work with the group now at Clark Hill that does the refundings as well as the bond work, and this was one of the best sales. To discuss this with the municipal financial advisor that we utilized, Steve Burke from MFCI, and he was very, very pleased, and he wanted me to make sure that I gave a special shout out to the financial team, in particular Susan and Kathy and everyone else who, because our bond rating is so good, and the number of bids we received is phenomenal. And it just goes to show, I think, when we look back, I've been on the board now on my 4th term, like several of us here, and Kathy, you've been here longer. I think when we looked at, and given what we experienced in 2008 with the downturn of the economy and what we've been able to do, this is a huge deal, especially for our business community. And I can't say enough that what this really means. This savings of over $500,000 of interest savings on bonds that taxpayers would otherwise have to pay, or the business community would have to pay as part of their property taxes. So you don't always get that. I mean, when MFAs, when they look at these projects, there's kind of a standard because there's costs of issuance that you have in a refunding that you have to balance with what the savings are. Obviously, if the cost of issuance is not there, is too high, or the cost of overall savings is not there, I think this was a very good bond sale. So anyway, that was my comments, and I just want to make sure everyone knew. And Steve Burke said congratulations to the whole team, and in particular Susan and Kathy. So
Thank you. And just for clarification again, this was the project that Grand Sakwa, which is the rural King side of the road, and Ramco Gershenson, which is the Meyer side of the road. Those two developments paid for the infrastructure to improve Blaine Road, to move Hartland Road, and the improvements onto M59. So that's where these bonds were refinanced for. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to board reports. We're already in our second meeting in April, and we'll start with Treasurer Horning.
I have nothing this evening.
Trustee Kalani.
I have nothing.
Trustee Germain.
I would just like to report that the hoop house that the Hero Teen Center was able to get financing for from the Livingston County Farm Bureau, the construction should begin within the next several weeks. So that will be happening at the old Hartland Township Hall, which is now known as the Hero Teen Center. Just wanted to let everybody know. And Mr. West is instrumental in making this project happen, like most of the things here at the township. So thanks in advance for his assistance.
Thank you. Trustee Harper.
No report?
Trustee Petrucci.
No report tonight.
Clerk Schofu.
No report.
Just briefly, we lost one of our hometown heroes, Dwight Sacco, just recently passed away, and his funeral was today. And again, he's one of those rare people that would sit usually right over there, and I bet he's been to, when he could get here, he was here. So just a real good person, and a real good person for our community. Did a lot for for parades and everything else, so I'm sure everybody has a little heavy heart this evening with Dwight. That being said, I'm going to take a brief recess, or we will, and we'll go into our information discussion, which tonight is, the topics are policing, our manager's report, and our 2019 strategic